The idea of parallel realities is not new. Ancient philosophers speculated about the existence of multiple versions of reality, but in modern science, the theory gained traction with physicists like Hugh Everett, who proposed the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. According to this theory, every time you make a choice, reality splits. One version of you turns left, another turns right. One version takes the risk, another walks away. And if this is true, then there could be countless versions of you, each leading vastly different lives. But here's the real question. Can these versions ever interact? Can one version of you reach across the boundaries of reality to warn or guide another? Many believe the answer is yes, and some have experienced it firsthand. Have you ever had a dream so vivid, so real, that you woke up convinced it actually happened? A dream where you lived another life, made different choices, and felt emotions that were not your own. Or perhaps you've experienced a moment of déjà vu so strong that it left you frozen in place, as if you had already lived that exact moment before. Some report seeing shadows in their peripheral vision, shadows that move in ways that defy logic, always just beyond their line of sight. Others speak of hearing their own voice whispering in their ear when no one else is around. And then, there are the messages. Mysterious texts from unknown numbers. Glitches in electronic devices. A reflection in the mirror that lingers just a second too long. Are these mere coincidences? Or are they proof that someone, or something, is trying to communicate? If another version of you is trying to reach out, why? What could be so urgent that it requires breaking the laws of physics? Some believe these interactions happen when a parallel self has encountered something catastrophic, something that may also happen in your reality. They reach out to warn you, to help you change your path before it's too late. Others say it's about unfinished business. Maybe in another timeline, you left something unresolved. An apology never given, a choice never made. And now, your other self is trying to set things right. But the most terrifying possibility? Some believe that in rare cases, a parallel version of you might not just want to warn you, but replace you. If you suspect that your parallel self is reaching out to you, what should you do? First, pay attention. Keep a journal of dreams, unexplained occurrences, and any anomalies you notice in your daily life. Patterns may begin to emerge. Second, test reality. Try changing your routine in unpredictable ways. If something is truly watching or interacting with you, it may struggle to adapt. Third, protect your mind. Some believe that not all parallel selves have good intentions. If you feel an overwhelming sense of dread, if you begin to lose time, or if the messages become aggressive, it may be time to step back. And finally, if you ever receive a message that seems to come from yourself, a note in your own handwriting, a voice that sounds eerily familiar, whatever you do, think carefully before responding. Because once that connection is fully established, there's no telling what might come through. There have been reports, cases where the boundaries between realities weakened to the point where people saw themselves, not just in mirrors or reflections, but in places where they should not be. A woman in New York once claimed she saw herself boarding a train. She locked eyes with her double, and for a moment everything froze. When she blinked, the train was gone. A man in London received a phone call from a voice identical to his own, warning him not to take a specific route home. He ignored it. That night, an accident occurred exactly where he would have been. And then there's the terrifying case of the mirror glitch, where people report looking into a mirror and seeing their reflection move, out of sync. If our parallel selves are attempting contact, what enables this connection? Could it be an innate ability within us, or is something else pulling the strings? Many ancient cultures spoke of veils between worlds, thin barriers separating realities. Shamans, mystics, and seers often described entering altered states where they glimpsed different versions of existence. Some say these experiences weren't hallucinations, but brief moments when the boundaries between realities weakened. Modern scientists studying quantum entanglement propose that particles can remain connected across vast distances. What if consciousness operates the same way? If your mind is entangled with your parallel selves, then moments of intense emotion, trauma, or even near-death experiences might act as catalysts, temporarily bridging realities. But if this is true, then we must ask, are these bridges natural? Or is some unseen force, intentionally opening them? What happens when a parallel self successfully makes contact? Most encounters remain fleeting. Brief glimpses, whispers, a sensation of being watched. But in rare cases, the connection deepens. There are those who claim their lives began to shift dramatically after an encounter. Their preferences changed overnight. Their handwriting became subtly different. Friends noticed unusual gaps in their memories. Some even reported waking up in a home they recognized, but one that felt slightly off. And then there are those who disappeared. In 1973, a man named Daniel Kerr from Toronto told friends he had recurring dreams of another him standing at the foot of his bed. His journal described growing paranoia, a sense that his reality was being rewritten. One night he sent a final message to a friend. "If I don't return, remember me the way I was." He was never seen again. His apartment was left untouched, except for one thing. His mirror was shattered with no signs of forced entry. Have you ever woken up feeling different? Like the world around you has changed in ways you can't quite explain. Some believe this is evidence of the shift, a phenomenon where people slip into parallel realities without realizing it. Those who experience the shift describe sudden, unexplainable inconsistencies. A childhood memory their family swears never happened. A favorite restaurant that seemingly never existed. A scar on their body they have no recollection of getting. The most chilling cases involve loved ones, people who claim a close friend or partner began acting strangely, as if they were almost, but not quite, the same person. Could it be that these individuals accidentally switched places with their parallel selves? And if so, is there a way back? What if someone has already discovered how to intentionally cross between realities? In 1987, a leaked document from an undisclosed research facility described classified experiments involving interdimensional resonance. The project, allegedly abandoned, aimed to synchronize brainwave frequencies with alternate versions of the same person. One subject, known only as Patient 16, reportedly experienced a sudden psychological split. He would speak in two distinct voices alternating mid-sentence. At times, his expressions would shift unnaturally, as if someone else was momentarily in control. The final entry in the experiment's records simply read, "Subject has been replaced. Terminating project." No further details were ever released. No one knows what happened to Patient 16. But if they succeeded in opening a door between realities, who or what might have come through? Now that you know the signs, the risks, and the possibilities, what will you do? Doubt is natural. Skepticism is healthy. But if even a part of you suspects that something is not quite right, that reality has subtle fractures, hidden inconsistencies, then perhaps you've already begun to see the truth. Your parallel self might be watching, waiting, reaching out. And if you've ever felt that eerie sensation that you're not alone, even in an empty room, perhaps you should stop and listen. Because sometimes, the one trying to make contact is you. Now you know the signs, you know the stories, you know the possibilities, but the real question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you brush it off as mere coincidence? Or will you start paying attention, watching for the subtle cracks in your reality? Because if another version of you is trying to reach out, there must be a reason. And if you've ever felt that eerie sensation, that unshakable feeling that something is just slightly off, perhaps this is your wake-up call. Perhaps the connection has already begun. Tell me, have you ever encountered your parallel self? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this video unsettling, share it. Maybe someone else needs to hear this message. Because sometimes the warnings don't come in dreams, sometimes they come in a whisper.